MakingAScene.org brings you Canada Just Put Money Behind the People Who Build the Stage.
All right, let's get right into this, because what we're talking about today, it's not just another funding announcement. Nope. This is a story about power. It's about who gets to decide what we listen to. And maybe, just maybe, it's about building a real, sustainable music middle class. You know, there's a world of difference between just saying you support music and actually building a system that helps it survive and thrive. And Canada? Well, they just gave us a masterclass in how it's done.
So what's the news that kicked this whole thing off? It's this number right here. $2 million. On April 21st, 2024, Canada's big public-private music fund, which is called Factor, announced they were injecting this cash directly into the live music scene.
Now here's the key part. This money is going specifically to Canadian-owned promoters and festivals. And this isn't your typical grant for an artist to make a record. Oh no. This is something different. Something way more strategic. Factor's announcement was crystal clear about this. This money is for the culture builders. Think about that for a second. These are the folks who actually book the shows, who promote the tours, who take on all the financial risk. In other words, Canada is investing in the very people who decide if an artist even gets a chance to get on stage in the first place.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about helping out some businesses. This is a strategic investment in the most important leverage points of the entire music ecosystem. This is about who truly holds the power of the stage.
You know, the most important phrase in their whole announcement might be this one: cultural sovereignty. Now, I know that sounds like some lofty academic jargon, but it's not. It's actually pretty simple. It means a country understands that its own culture, its stories, its identity, is just too important to be left to the highest bidder. It's the right to have your own people shaping the rooms where your stories get told.
So why is this so critical right now? Well, Factor's CAO was pretty blunt about it. He linked this new program to rising costs and, more importantly, to increased competition from huge foreign-owned companies. I mean, the stakes are spelled out right here. On one side, you have local control, which helps grow a country's identity and lets diverse voices be heard. On the other side, well, you get a system where outside capital and the deepest pockets call the shots, which can lead to a more, bland, homogenized culture. Canada is very actively choosing a side here.
And what's really fascinating is that this decision, it didn't just come out of nowhere, not at all. It's actually part of a very deliberate long-term system that Canada has been carefully building for decades.
And you can see that long-term thinking laid out right here. I mean, Factor wasn't some new thing. It was founded way back in 1982. And get this, its funding is a partnership between the government and private radio. That shows you just how deep this strategy is embedded in their country. For over 40 years, the system has been growing and adapting, and this new live music program, it's just the next logical step.
And this isn't just a history lesson. The commitment is real, it's significant, and it's happening right now. For example, in March of 2024, the Canadian government put this much money on the table over 2 years for the Canada Music Fund.
And that $32 million, it was specifically set aside to ensure competitiveness and stability. And they're not just throwing money at a wall to see what sticks. As you can see, they've already been testing these waters. They've already provided over $11 million to help venues, promoters, and festivals in just the last couple of years. So this new program isn't some risky bet. It's built on a concept they've already proven works.
Okay, so to really grasp how big of a deal this is, let's contrast Canada's systemic, long-term approach with what's happening just south of the border in the United States. And honestly, the difference is night and day. This table really breaks it all down, doesn't it? Canada's model is systemic. It's thinking about the entire ecosystem, with ongoing funding for the infrastructure itself, all with the big goal of cultural sovereignty. The U.S. model, though, is much more fragmented. Funding is usually for one specific project, or it's for an emergency. It targets individual artists or nonprofits, and the goal is really just finishing that one project. It's a completely different way of thinking about things.
A perfect example of this is the main federal arts funder in the U.S., the National Endowment for the Arts. Its grants are almost always for specific projects. It's not designed to give the kind of general, keep-the-lights-on support that helps an indie promoter or a small venue stay afloat and build a scene year after year.
But here's the wild thing. America has absolutely proven it can fund this kind of infrastructure. It just seems to only do it when there's a 5-alarm fire. And the proof is this massive number.
That's right.
$16.25 billion with a B. That's how much the U.S. Congress came up with for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant during the pandemic. It was an emergency lifeline that saved thousands of businesses. So the capability is definitely there. The real question is, how do you turn that kind of emergency rescue into a long-term cultural strategy?
So what would a better system in the U.S. even look like? Well, MakingAScene.org argues that we can actually use the Canadian model as a blueprint for building real independence in the American music scene.
And here are 4 key steps to get there. First, you've got to directly fund the independent promoters and venues, the actual risk takers. Second, create public-private partnerships just like Canada did. Third, and this one is so important, reward systems that are actually pro-artist. And fourth, you have to intentionally strengthen the regional scenes, not just the big hubs on the coasts.
Let's just zoom in on that third point for a second. Rewarding pro-artist systems. What does that even mean? It means going way beyond just paying a musician for a gig. It means using public funds to encourage things like fair ticketing policies that give artists their fan data, or fair merch splits, or even marketing support that drives fans to platforms the artist actually owns. It's about using this money to build artist leverage.
And that right there gets to the absolute heart of it. The key takeaway is this. There is a huge fundamental difference between a system that just keeps musicians alive, just barely scraping by, and a system that actually helps them build sustainable careers and create real wealth from their art.
So what are we really building here? I mean, this slide lays it out perfectly. The choice is between 2 completely different futures. Are we creating a real music middle class with sustainable careers and local earning power that's built on systemic support? Or are we just propping up a celebrity lottery, a winner-take-all game that relies on national exposure and just plain old individual luck?
And that is the real story behind Canada's $2 million announcement. It's not about the money, not really. It's about a country making a conscious choice, a decision that the people who build the stage, who create the scenes, and who give artists a chance are a vital part of the national infrastructure, and they are worthy of investment. And it really forces us all to ask that question. Are we building a music middle class, or are we just content to celebrate the lottery winners? Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on MakingAScene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.